Here's a sitch. I have a lot of granny squares. They are sloppy with loose string and vary in size. Also, I'm a rookie at stitching pieces together. I don't block my projects, but maybe I do now. When I first started making these pieces, I didn't have a plan in mind. For the last 3 years, I've been asking myself what I want to do with them. The time has come. This is part 1 of a 3-part series. I'm gonna lay down some terminology for the rest of the videos. When I say square, I mean all the pieces. There are squares, hexagons, and flowers. Basically, I used the classic Sunburst pattern for the square. Street name granny square, square of crochet. I used the African rose pattern for the hexagons, but I discovered if you take off you don't do the border, it becomes a flower. It's just a 6-petaled flower. So there's a couple of those in there as well. For all the differing pieces of crochet that I'm using, I'm just gonna go ahead and say they're all squares because they're, granny squares. I learned to crochet about 6 years ago, and for the first 2 years I was on that single crochet beat. I had been aimlessly making a blanket with just a single crochet. By the time the blanket was the width and height of myself, I was bored. Then I discovered the convenience of the granny square. They're colorful and versatile, and they fit in a pocket. I made most of these squares at work. Actually, this was my designated work project. Also an aimless project. When I first began this project, I had never sewn squares together or dealt with so many loose strings from all the many color changes. A lot of the squares are different sizes too. Since I made these squares when I was still a beginner, I didn't know how to do a clean color change or to at least leave the string long. I didn't keep track of the hook sizes I used. At one point, I went rogue and started testing the bounds of the Sunburst Square pattern by adding or changing stitches. And that is the reason for a lot of the challenges I faced beginning this project. That being said, I'd do it all over again the same exact way because now that I've cleaned up my work, I know how to be more intentional in the future. Life lesson. It took me a while to decide what to make with all these squares. I kept drawing up clothing items to make, but nothing was hitting. Once I accepted that these squares were not going to become a top, skirt, or over-the-shoulder piece, the idea of the tote came to me. The shape of the bag is simple enough but leaves room for spontaneous whimsy, and that's important. As I've been forming the squares into a tote bag, I've practiced and developed preferences with different techniques and materials. I learned the mattress stitch, which is my favorite, and the whip stitch, which turned out to be a horror that I'll need to fix later. I discovered the glory of using clear athletic thread to mattress stitch the squares together just in time because I reached a point where I was ready to break out the hot glue gun. My worry is that I might not be able to create what I'm envisioning in my mind. Like, I'm not going to be able to create what I want to create. And I think that's a good place to be. I think that's a healthy worry. Obviously. Plans are meant to change. I'm sure I won't be able to create what I want exactly, but it will be better. Now that I'm done psychoanalyzing myself for the greater good, here we go.